Squatting. By quite a few people's standards, it's reasonably the truest testament of a person's strength, unless you skip leg day. But what if your squat isn't as strong as you'd like it to be? Well, today I'm here to show you the 3 biggest mistakes that I made and how I corrected them with my form that eventually upped my gains with squat. So, if that sounds interesting to you, then let's dive right into it. For those of you who don't know, my name is Rick Goodman and I'm the creator of Vexick Fitness. I'm on a journey to create a strong society through building strong individuals. If that interests you, then make sure to like and subscribe and to follow along in this journey for more great content such as this coming up to you in the future. Alright, I won't waste any time, so here are the 3 main squat mistakes that I made and that you might be making and how to correct each one. So, number 1, the easiest one to fix, and at least to me it is, and the one I did just before my competition that got me the serious gains that I needed and eventually got me that 365 squat just before competition, was that you need to strengthen and straighten your back. Now, what do I mean by this? So, when it comes to powerlifting or when it comes to squatting is one of those where you need to be very careful with it. Squatting, I think, is actually more dangerous than benching, and definitely more dangerous than deadlift, because if you collapse under the weight and it falls on top of you, you could end up dead. That's actually, I remember when I was at the gym and I dropped the weight one time, it was a lightweight, the employee came to me and he said, yo, you guys should probably use the safety bars because somebody at our other facility tried doing that and he ended up dying. And I was like, well, So, we decided that we're going to be using the safety bars, but just in case, it's very important that you have good form when it comes to squatting. When it comes to anything with weightlifting in general, but specifically when it comes to squatting. The one I did first, as I said before, was that you need to straighten your back. The weight is obviously on top of your legs and you're using your legs to move it up and down, but your back is what's actually supporting the weight itself. You need a strong core and you need a strong lower back and upper back in order to hold the weight on top of your body without crushing it. So obviously you need to strengthen your back. Core strength helps with all other strength, so that's a no-brainer. Work on your core strength. The reason I say you need to straighten your back though is because, and I was doing this and without realizing until my coach saw me, but just before competition, but I was actually slightly rounding my back and I wasn't able to go as low as I needed to or support the weight on my back properly because, it was pretty painful because my back wasn't straight. You have to have a strong center of gravity when you're doing this, and you need to make sure that your back is stabilized, otherwise you could injure your spine, and if you injure your spine, everything else is going to be potentially damaged. So make sure that you get a straight back. You want to make sure that you're in proper form and position. I'll talk about the feet later. And you want to hold the bar properly onto your back. Make sure that your back is upright. You obviously will be bending slightly forward because of the weight being on your neck or, on the back of your neck. And, just make sure that you look up, squat down, keep your back straight. If you're going ass to grass, then you'll actually probably do a butt wink, meaning that your butt is going to lower down and then go back up. And if you do that the entire time, it's going to be a lot easier to squat. It's going to be a lot easier and feel a lot better on your back. When I did that just before my competition, I had gotten up to I've moved 355 for squat, but I definitely did not go low enough. You can probably see my old videos on that. And I tried going to 275, and for me it was mainly because of my hip injury, but I realized that even though I had that injury still a little bit at the time, I simply was not able to squat low because of the fact that I just was not keeping my back straight. You need to have your back straight, and when I finally did that, I got 315 for the first time with proper form ever. Obviously the injured knee sleeves, but proper form is very key. You need to have proper form, straighten your back, and strengthen your core. That's number 1. Okay, number 2 is both foot placement and the proper footwear for squat. Personally, I like to go about shoulder width apart. A lot of people might do inner, a lot of people might go wider. I like to do shoulder width apart. It's a pretty easy basis to have so that you can make sure that you're doing it the same each time. What you want to do is you want to have your feet about shoulder width apart. This ensures that you have a good center of gravity, and so that you're not wobbling over to the side, and that it's a lot easier to catch yourself when you go lower. When you're doing that, it's very slight, but it very much helps a lot with your squat and with keeping yourself upright and balanced, is you want to have your feet not parallel, but at a slight angle. Anything between 15 to about 45 degrees. 45 degrees is a bit wide, so maybe don't do that, but go at about 15 degrees. I want to say it's like right here. This ensures that you're using more of your big toe, and your big toe is what helps stabilize your body, but also ensures that it gives you a wider center of gravity. When you want a wider center of gravity, because when you're squatting down, you're going to need a strong base to get you back up. So that being said, I do train a lot in my running shoes. They're Nikes. They have an elevated heel. You want to make sure that you're not doing that you're wearing flat shoes. I recently started wearing my Converse again. I just mainly didn't because they were Chuck Taylors and I'm using my knee sleeves on them, and those would make it kind of hard. I'd have to constantly untie the shoe, put on the knee sleeves, put on the shoe, tie it back up because they're Chuck Taylors. They take a lot. They're high tops. And then, I would get back into the squat and I would be able to do it better. So I would definitely recommend Vans, Converse, and I believe Adidas. There was one shoe that my friend let me use at the competition. It was actually his shoes. There's also powerlifting shoes specifically that you can use that are flat-footed. Those are definitely the best. When you do this, it gives you a better center of gravity, because when you're using heel elevated shoes and you're trying to lift up, you might have the same problem I've had in the past, where I've lifted up and I started going onto the balls of my toes instead of having my foot completely flat. Now, if you're in a competition, this is actually an illegal move, and I believe you can get disqualified for it. Let me actually check. Okay, from my quick 3-minute research, I wasn't able to find whether or not that was an illegal move. I'm assuming it is. You can look it up on USAPL website. They should tell you all the rules and regulations. That's the one that I've done, USAPL. Shout out to them. I can't wait to go back and win the competition. So yeah, just make sure that your feet are flat. This also just gives you an easier base, because when your feet lift up, you can actually end up off balance, and that's how people end up dropping the weight a lot of the time, or having the weight fall on them, or any number of things could happen. Maybe I'll do a clip of gym fails with squats at this point in the video. Now, number 3, last but not least, the number one thing that I believe is killing your squat gains is the fact that it should be pretty obvious, but you're most likely not going low enough. Now, by competition standard, I'll also, put the link for the video that I found that explains how you're supposed to do competition standard. But when it comes to squatting for depth, a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about this. Tom Platt says to go low, and his squat was incredible. His legs were incredible. My dad said not to go low because that can cause arthritis, supposedly. I'll probably do more research when it comes to that. But ultimately, the thing is that you need to go to a certain point if you're trying to do competition squats specifically. The competition squats, you basically need to break parallel between your knees and your butt, meaning your hips have to dip lower than your knees. So I know I'm probably gonna start up a lot of controversy by saying this, but because of the fact that my squat videos have gotten a lot of hate on them, but I've had plenty of squats that I've gone low, and I've had plenty of squats I didn't go low on. I just recently was starting to go to ass to grass when actually I injured my finger, because I was trying to work on form more so than pure strength. However, in my previous videos, about around 2023 in March or February, I was doing a squat and I wasn't going to depth. I thought I had gone to depth. Relatively speaking, I thought it was low enough, but it wasn't, because I was only going at about a quarter, maybe 1/3 of a squat, when it turns out that you actually at least have to do parallel. But again, competition standard is you have to go way below. You have to go below, your hips have to dip below your knees. Now, part of the reason that I personally had an issue with this was because I had actually had a hip injury a few years back. Back in 2021, I was on my motorcycle. I was riding in the neighborhood here and I was swerving back and forth. I screwed up by doing this, but I turned to the side. I almost fell. The bike came out from underneath me, but instead of falling and hitting the ground, I caught myself with my right leg and it hyperextended it, and then I pulled myself back up. Honestly, in hindsight, I probably should have let it fall, but who knows, that might have been a worse injury. So after that, I believe I went to work later that day, and I worked at Togo's at the time, so I was standing up for hours on end when I should have been resting my leg. I should have called off, which goes to show this is exactly why you need to take care of yourself more so. It doesn't matter if your boss gets pissed at you. You need to take care of yourself physically, mentally, socially, emotionally, spiritually, etc. Anyway, so for years, like a couple of years actually, I was in constant pain for about 2 years after that. That was in 2021. Up until 2023, I still had some problems with trying to squat. My hip was constantly hurting. I was limping a lot of the time. I wasn't able to go for long walks. In fact, I wasn't able to sprint or jog for a while. And then it started to change when I personally began rehabbing it through a video I found on YouTube, where basically I used bands. This is also why bands are very important, not just for rehab, not just for strength training, but for rehab, for stretching. Bands are one of the greatest things that God and man ever created, not gonna lie. So the first set of exercises I did, you basically want to wrap the band around your leg on the inner thigh. You want to sit in almost a half knee, almost like a half split or demi split position, but with your front leg in that has the band around it. You want to have the band around a strong object to hold it down, and then you're going to move your hips in and out as you're basically taking tension off the ball and socket joint. Then you want to get up. You want to do a half kneeling position with that same band on your leg, as that knee is on the ground and your other knee is up. You want to lean forward and back, therefore stretching your leg forward and back, also helping the ball and socket joint in that case, because I injured myself. So, make sure you do that. That helped for a while, but the thing that really helped with my recovery, that just supercharged it and also made it a lot easier because I didn't always need a strong object to hold it down, was I got a rubber band. My Muay Thai coach actually showed me this. Shout out Coach Krish, love you. He showed me that basically what you do is you lay in a butterfly position, you tie it around your waist, and then you have the bands onto your knees. I'll see if I can find a picture of that, or maybe I can even put in a video of myself doing that. But basically, you have it around your knees and under your butt, and then you lay back on the ground and just sit there for about somewhere between 1 to 5 minutes, depending on how intense the band is and how much it'll help you. I told him that I was injured, even though I was moving around a lot. I just tried to fight through the pain. But once I did that helped so much with my squat, with my injury, and it helped me rehab my hip. It was amazing. So those are the ones I will say. You need to do that, and you need to be able to go low. You need to make sure that your hips, your pelvic floor, and your knees are protected. Make sure that you have strong enough tendons. Do lightweight, a lot of reps that help strengthen up your tendons, and then go for depth. Go for depth at first with lighter weight though. Make sure that you're doing it with a weight that you're comfortable with. I very much want to emphasize, we are not trying to injure ourselves here. We want to make sure that we are physically fine. So do that. And so, yeah, those are the 3 biggest squat mistakes that a lot of people make. They're the ones that I used to make. And I hope that this video helps you guys all today. So that being said, that's all for today. If you like this video, then like, share, subscribe to the channel, and let me know how this goes for you. Give this a try, and then let us know down in the comments. I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts on leg day, and whether or not y'all are doing it. You better be doing leg day. So I'd like to hear everybody's thoughts on this. What leg exercises do you like the best? What are your thoughts on leg day? And what are your thoughts on my advice here? Should I do some more research? is this good enough advice? Let me know down in the comments. That's all for today. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. Peace.